Gurave Gauri Chandraya Radhikaya Tadari Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat Pranam devotees. Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur Avirbhav Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai. So, later on, of course, in the evening, on our phone conference, we'll be speaking the Mahima of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, and of course all pastimes and everything. So it's a very glorious day. Of course, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur is also a linchpin in the prophecy of Mahaprabhu, Prithviya Cheyata Nagaradigram, Savatra Pracha Hoibe Muranam, that Sri Harinam and all of the conceptions of Harinam would spread to everywhere around the world. That was pretty much fulfilled through the inspiration of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and the arranging of the packaging by Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, and of course by the inspiration and the agya given to our Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, that became possible, that prophecy was fulfilled all over the world. Many times devotees think that the meaning here is that people everywhere throughout the world will simply be chanting Harinam, but that would not really be the fulfillment of Mahaprabhu's prophecy, because Mahaprabhu's prophecy was inclusive of all of the conceptions related to Harinam. To understand Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punasuro Nityamukto Abhinatvam Nama Namayo, understanding this name and Krishna non-different, understanding the glory of how Prem itself was manifest in this Nam. Swanama Premamrita Atyudhara Apamrayo Vitataragor. That Mahaprabhu was so kind that he placed Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti, he placed all his Shakti in Nam, inclusive of Prem. So this is Prem Nam, and it's a very, very rare thing. And so to have the most fallen persons, right, which were certainly realized in the Leela of Jagai and Madai with Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Nam Nishtarup Shri Haridas Thakur, that very kind of mercy under the auspices of Mahaprabhu coming down in Parampara through our Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, of course our Srila Prabhupada, and the many, many stalwart devotees like my Guru Pada Padma and others who facilitated that manifestation of the prophecy all over the world. And as I said, inclusive of everything related to Harinam. So that's not really our subject matter today. I'm attempting to, earlier than normal, because I have a long day today, to try to answer some questions that came in that were requested to be done in this forum. I've answered a lot of questions recently by just replying directly to the persons involved. But I thought because they requested it should be done on this forum, perhaps because they wanted to comment or they wanted the question openly asked and answered, we're doing it on this forum. But let me do this. Let me pull up the questions themselves, and then we can get started. Obviously, in the thumbnail to the session here, I put down the subject matters that were requested. Give me 1 second. I think I got them here. All right. Okay. So the first question was about Varnashram Dharma. And basically they were saying, is it true or not that some devotees say that the last part of Srila Prabhupada's mission, which was the establishment of Varnashram Dharma, still has not taken place. So, not only our Srila Prabhupada, but even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and of course our Srila Prabhupada, and in general, our Acharya Varga, they wanted that there would be a way in which the population of the world could be engaged in bhakti. And because obviously the world's population is of so many different varieties due to their karmic portfolio, as well, there are some persons who have bhakti samskars. So each person has an individual, unique package, so to speak. But overwhelmingly, many people who do not have bhakti samskars, if they were to come to the platform of bhakti, it has to be through some means by which they can enter. So, all of our Acharya Varga, but especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada, conceived that in the, as I mentioned earlier, fulfillment of the prophecy, that they would find a way to engage people in the process of bhakti. And the most suitable means is created by Bhagavan himself. Chaturvanam Maryasistam Gunakama Vibhavasa. That analyzing a person's qualities and the nature of their activities, that persons could be engaged in serving Bhagavan through the system of Varna and Ashram. So, our Srila Prabhupada certainly wanted that to happen. As far as whether or not that was accomplished or not, I would say yes. Sometimes we have different conceptions of what we consider to be the establishment of Varna and Ashram. But really, once you establish the principle of bhakti, then all of the relative considerations coming from bhakti are also established. So Srila Prabhupada, by introducing bhakti and creating facility for those who had bhakti samskars and those who were coming newly to bhakti, to enter bhakti on the actual path of bhakti, which is not directly related to Varnashram Dharma, but is the goal of Varnashram Dharma. Srila Prabhupada established the place from where Varnashram Dharma model could emanate. So let me explain that. By establishing devotees on the path according to their previous bhakti samskars and those who were coming new from the samskars garnered from the preaching mission of our Srila Prabhupada and my Guru Padapadma and others, then they now could set the template for how to obtain the goal. If the goal had not been established, then what would have been the pragmatic purpose or the practical purpose of introducing a system? Because to many people it would have just appeared as a caste system or something, right? Because Varnashram is actually called Daivi Varnashram. The whole intention of Varnashram is to produce entrance into the path of bhakti or devotion, right? Varnashrama charavata purushena parampumam. Vishnu rajate panta nanyat tatosha karanam. It is meant to give satisfaction to Lord Vishnu. So it is Daivi Varnashram. Right? Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy to give him the ultimate goal of life, but quote from Shastra, Ramananda Roy quoted this verse. For people in general, right? This Varnashram system is the only way they have entrance into bhakti and have the means of developing the idea of serving Bhagavan. But then Mahaprabhu told, Eho bhai age karar. But this is external to actual Vaishnav dharma. So you should go on and explain further. And of course, we know in Ramananda Samvad that the conversation goes all the way from that point of Varnashram Dharma, which would be the entry point for most people in the material world, all the way to the highest thing of Prem Vilas Vivarit. You understand? So the devotees were meant to set a model. And I think in the establishment of many farm communities, self-sufficient communities, etc., that model has been set. Right? The ultimate goal of life was established, that we should understand the nature of our dasatva towards Bhagavan and try to develop that relationship to its perfection. And that's our goal of life. That's the goal of everyone. But particularly those who've entered the path, that is our goal. So Varnashram Dharma was really not the goal, according to Mahaprabhu and according to our Guru Vargas, of those who've taken to the path of bhakti. Normally, before we chant our Diksha mantras, we'll say, Nahan Vipro Nacharpati Napi Vaishona Sudro. Right? We're declaring in this Buddha Shuddhi Shlok, that we are not members of Varnashram Dharma. Gopi Patu Pada Kamalayor Das Dasanu Das. We're trying to establish our dasatva in relation to our worshipable objective, Mahaprabhu Shri Radha Krishna Yugu. So this is our actual development for those in the practice of Vaishnavism. Obviously, for those who have no bhakti sanskars or approaching the path, then the doorway of Varnashram Dharma is what is a practical system of that kind of approach. So, Srila Prabhupada mentioned one thing also, that Varnashram Dharma will really become a necessity when the society comes to a point where they don't see alternative in the regular material scheme of things. In the 12th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, for instance, is mentioned, Prajaste Pashikshanti Malacha Rajana Rupina. That in the Kali Yuga, one feature is that malechas or uncivilized persons in the guise of leadership will Prajaste Pashikshanti. They will tax the citizens in various ways. Obviously economically, but taxing resources, taxing lifestyles. They'll do so many things that have such an adverse effect on the population will flee to try to find solace in places outside of the normative social structure. And it's at that time when all of the communities that have been established by devotees, right, and I'll even extend it out to other spiritual traditions, any communities of faith, but particularly the communities of devotees, then what model Srila Prabhupada gave of an ashram at that time will be a practical application because the persons needing it will be there. Sometimes there's also a discussion of whether or not devotees themselves are above Varnashram Dharma. Well, nobody will know better than the particular individual devotee. If you have come under the guidance of any realized Vaishnava, then you will realize that my real duty in this lifetime is to obtain my siddhi and bhajan life. And that is beyond the purview of Varnashram Dharma. Well, you may be doing seva on a farm somewhere. It does not make you a Vaishya. You may be doing any kind of other work which would fit into the category of Sudra, or you may be doing Thakurji seva and other sorts of, quote, Brahminical work, but it doesn't make us Brahmin. You understand? So, and of course, many devotees take up different kinds of things related to Kshatriya Dharma. But actually, we're not Brahmin, Brahmin, Vaishya, Sudra, etc. We are actually aspirants, something has gotten into my eye. So I'm just trying to clear it. We are actually aspirants in the seva of Mahaprabhu and Shri Radha Krishna Yugu. So that is our full absorption. So devotees themselves, this is Mahaprabhu told to Ramananda Roy, Eho bhai age karar. We have moved to the point of pursuing the further developments in the conversation of Ramananda Roy. You understand? So we have to take our sastra and make it applicable and practical to our own lives. So we can't sort of make imaginary conflations between different things. So you have to actually follow what our Guru Vargas have given for particular individuals. So as I mentioned, obviously persons who are approaching newly to the path of bhakti, one introductory mechanism is Varnashram Dharma, especially when you're looking at a mass population. But if someone is very fortunate, due to bhakti unmukhi sukritis, that they can come to the path with some interest directly in pursuit of a spiritual life, then they no need to go through being placed in some particular varna and ashram. Rather, one should simply take up spiritual practice, understanding oneself to be the das of Krishna, and try to pursue realization of that fact. Right? So this was my understanding of what was meant by Srila Prabhupada institution of Varnashram Dharma. So again, in my perspective, I think that has been accomplished because we have the template, and that's what was necessary for devotees, because in managing a community, you needed the template that if all of a sudden the things that are predicted to happen in Kali Yuga, which they are happening obviously, and the social fabric comes to such a point that suddenly there's an inundation of so many different people taking shelter in the Vaishnava community, how to engage them? This is called Varna and Ashram Dharma. Daivi Varnashram Dharma. Right? But for devotees who are practicing, we have entered into the Vaishnava Dharma, and our shelter is in Vaishnava Dharma. Our designation, Daso Shmi. Our practice to realize the specificity of that dasatva. You understand? That is our goal. Understand? Our day and night practice should be centered around that. And Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das Goswami, for those who are still having some connection to the material world, that doesn't automatically put you in the category of Varna and Ashram Dharma. Right? But Mahaprabhu couched it in this way, Antara Nishtakara Bhayalokya Vyavyahara. That internally, you should be absorbed in your Vaishnavata. Means absorbed in your actual identity. I am Vaishnav, following the path of the most merciful incarnation, Sriman Mahaprabhu. In the Vyavyaharik life, means in my external life, I may be doing this job, I may be married, I may not be married, I may, be in this situation, that situation, but inwardly, in the heart, I should identify I am Vaishnav. You understand? Now, sometimes devotees may say, well, to be a Vaishnava is a very high standard. But Mahaprabhu's mercy is that he's given that designation for those who are practicing bhakti or aspiring for bhakti. We know there's various gradations of Vaishnavas. That can be a consideration. But we should not think I'm not Vaishnav. We may say I'm not Sud Vaishnav. But we're aspiring Vaishnav. So we're Vaishnav in that stage. But we should not think that we're something other than that. Right? Jiva Goswami Pato, Dasabhuti Hari Eva, Nanya Sheva Kadachana. The reality for every jiva is that you're Haridas, and you really cannot be something else. Anything else that is considered has come from the Avidya Shakti and is a part of the bewilderment of Avidya. Understand? So we should think, yes, I am Vaishnav, and I'm aspiring to be Sudha Vaishnav. Understand? The next thing was regarding, I wrote Bhakti knowledge, but the devotee wrote that sometimes it is considered that devotees who are sastravid, means they know sastra, they are categorized in the society. I'm not sure exactly what society you mean, because there's so many different sanghas and so forth and so on. And not every sangha sees things in exactly the same way, though we're all the family of Mahaprabhu. And that's also a very important point, right? That we are all Gaur Parivar. So regardless of whether you've come under the line of any of the associates of Mahaprabhu, Janava Parivar, Advaita Parivar, Gadadha Parivar, into Gaudiya Math, we're all actually Gaur Parivar, right? In the larger picture. But in particularly, there may be nuances from one sangha to another. And in this particular case, the devotee is asking that the way those who are sastravid, those who have understood something of sastra are seen, in particular in one society, is that they are kind of like gyanis. So you have the option, so to speak, that you may get into gyan, and other devotees may be more centered on another feature of bhakti. But there's really, these are kind of artificial classifications. You understand? Everyone is duty bound to understand Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. So what Upakyan and also the Agyay order that comes from Guru, we have to understand it, realize it, and act on it. What has come from Sadhu, we also have to understand it, put it into practice, and realize it. What has come from Sastra, we also have to understand it, apply it, and manifest it in our lives. So lives are based on Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. And there's two ways of understanding what comes from Guru, Sadhu, Sastra. For some people who will think that it's simply a matter of a category of devotees called Gyanis, or those who are very much into Sastra and knowledge and so forth and so on. That vision is indicative of really not being clear about what Sastra and what Guru Harikatha and what Sadhu's Harikatha means. You're not really understanding what it is. It's not information. Somebody could compile information. It's written in Sastra. Nayamatma pravachanena labjam namerasa nabusutena. That a person may be very intelligent, merasa buhausutena, may have studied many different writings, right? And nayamatma pravachanena labjam. They have very great capacity for speaking with great erudition. But it doesn't mean they've realized Bhagavan. Doesn't mean they're even on the path of bhakti. You can find university professors who can speak in Sanskrit language various verses of Srimad Bhagavatam with great erudition. But the regurgitation of information is different from the manifestation of revelation. Revelation means those who have taken up the practice of bhakti in earnest and have digested the Harikatha that is coming from Guru, Sadhu and Sastra, and has become revelation in their lives. And when they're speaking, it is not Gyan. It is revelatory feature of the Swarup Shakti of Bhagavan. You understand? Because in that verse it says, Evam Isha Vinute Tena Labjas Tashev Isha Vi Vinute Tanuswam. Even if you have all those other qualities, unless Bhagavan reveals himself through Guru Parampara, then you cannot know Bhagavan. So having information is not a axiomatic standard. In fact, it's no standard at all to know Bhagavan. To know Bhagavan, one has to begin with the principles of Saranagati. So Saranagati is both the doorway to Bhakti and it's also the first anga of Bhakti. Guru Parasraya Tata Diksha Shikshadi Vishrambena Guru Seva. Rup Goswami Pad gave, this is the entrance into the path of Bhakti. So it's both the doorway to Bhakti and it's the first anga of Bhakti. So beginning at that point, when a person does Saranagati, then Prahalad Maharaj told, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Parasevanam Archanam Vandam Dasya Sakyam Atmanivedanam Itti Pumsa Prita Vishnu Bhaktas Chinnavalakshan. When you've done Saranagati, then you can practice the angas of Bhakti. At that time, Sravan, Kirtan and Smaran become infused first by the Prabhav, means the influence of Swarup Shakti, and then in maturation by the shadow of Swarup Shakti, and then in Bhav Siddhi, in our perfection, by the descent of Swarup Shakti itself. So we should not think at all that devotees who are sastravid and they're actually practicing bhakti, it's just a matter of gyan. It is not gyan, it is revelation. You understand? And part of this comes from, which is the latter part of my thumbnail, the psychology of humility. So humility, actually according to Sastra, comes when there's realization of Krishna. What is it? Paripokena dhanasya Krishna prema ajasanvitanyate parasparamapiyetan karya karya mikshate. So in Sastra it's quoted that dainya bhava, humility, is the result of Krishna prema ajasanvitanyate, the acquiring of Krishna prema. And parasparam means to something that mutually nourishes something. So your advancement in realized humility is paraspara. It is nourished by the degree of Krishna consciousness you've obtained. You understand? And then it goes on to say, karyam karamikshate. It is in fact the cause, the very cause of humility. You understand? So sometimes there's an artificial humility, because we know that within the Vaishnav Sangha, that one quality that is admirable, socially speaking, is to be humble. So sometimes not realizing that there is a gulf of difference between the realized state of dainya bhav, humility born from realization, devotees will sometimes, or aspirants more, will sometimes try to take that ideal and make it applicable to their current standing. I'm giving an example. If you ask a devotee, Didi, Prabhu, please, you should speak something regarding this particular spiritual topic. And, oh, no, I am so fallen and I don't know anything. So we have to be really, really careful with statements like that. Or, I am the most fallen. Because that's not a realization someone has. In the stage of being an aspirant, that's not really a realized situation. That is voicing a social conception that we should be very humble. You understand? But you have not realized I am the most fallen. That comes from Dainya Bhav. That expression is born from Dainya Bhav. Like if Bhakti Vinod Thakur will say, Amara Jivan Sadapape Rata Nahi Ko Punya Ralesh. That Bhakti Vinod is Kamla Manjari. You understand? But in his absorption, in his sadhak roop, as Bhakti Vinod Thakur, in realization, this Dainya Bhav has come as a Sanchari Bhav in his heart. It's not an artificial thing. So sometimes in the stage of being an aspirant, we use these kind of things to mask a certain insecurity around our false egoism regarding our status in the practice. In other words, some degree of false ego transfers from our material dealings into our spiritual aspirations. So we're thinking, I need to be protected around issues that may make me seeming to be compromised or put me in any position that's vulnerable. So one way to escape that is to declare a kind of humility that I really have not realized, but would be socially acceptable to avoiding awkward circumstances, like being asked to speak on something. And therefore some embarrassment comes if I'm not familiar with that subject and so forth and so on. So, oh, no, Prabhu, I'm very fallen. I don't know anything. Really, when you speak like that, you're really, because at first I just explained, it's not genuinely coming from Dainya Bhav, right? It's false egoism combined with social awkwardness at a particular moment. But what you do when you say that is it reflects back, my Guru Pada Padma has not given me anything. My Guru Pada Padma has not given one thing in my patra for me to speak on this topic. So in the course of protecting your own egoism, you actually cast a bad reflection on your Gurudev. So the thing would be to say, oh, I will offer according to the capacity of what I've understood from Guru. And even if it's namaskar to that particular topic, then you have made the endeavor to give from your heart what your Guru Pada Padma has taken so much time, effort, everything to give to you. And then also it should create, I have to become very much more deeply absorbed in digesting the words of my Guru Pada Padma and sadhus. Because the process is Shravan and Kirtan. If you don't do Shravan and Kirtan, Smaran becomes very difficult. And the entire practice of the line of conception of practice coming from Mahaprabhu is Rag Marg, right? And it's very difficult to do Rag Marg because the hallmark quality of Rag Marg is genuine Smaran. It is genuine Smaran. Smaran here doesn't simply mean remembrance. It means when the Antakaran, the subtle body, has become purified and it's capable of the revelation of the Harikatha that you've heard over the course of time becoming manifest on the chitta. You understand? This is called Shruta Ikshita Pat, the path of seeing through hearing. You understand? Having darshan of the reality of something via understanding it from hearing it. You understand? So it's very important that to not only hear, but to speak, to offer, because when you speak, you're doing seva by kirtan. So the false sense of humility is not a helpful thing in bhakti. If someone will give any praise to a devotee, Prabhuji, your kirtan was very, very amazing. I was very inspired. Oh, This was my Guru Kripa. This is the Kripa of Guru and Vaishnav. Oh Prabhu, oh Didi, your Harikatha was very, very nice. Oh, this is Guru Sadhu Kripa. You understand? Because that's the truth. We were never the speakers. What happens when Harikatha takes place? There's a very deep meaning to the verse Satam Prasanga Mamaviya Samvad. Samvido. The meaning here is Satam, when there's the presence of a sadhu, and there are persons to hear that sadhu. When everything is properly aligned, prasanga takes place. Prasanga means there's the fullness of the ability to manifest Mama Virya. Mama Virya here means the Shakti of Mahaprabhu, Sri Bhagavan, to manifest that Shakti through the Samvad, means the speaking and hearing. You understand? So it is not a speaker who's speaking, it is Bhagavan's Shakti coming in parampara and manifesting in the Sangha of those who are eager to hear and one who's eager to serve by doing kirtan. It's not the speaker. It's the arrangement of Mama Virya means Bhagavan's own Shakti. And that's why the Kirtaniya, or the person doing Harikatha, never thinks, I'm speaking. They think, I'm surrendering to Guru Parampara in order to do Kirtan Seva, Harikatha Seva. And in that mood, then there's the descent of Mahaprabhu and his associates, and in that environment, though we may not see them, they descend in that environment, and they're also inspiring and listening. Just like anytime we give Srimad Bhagavatam class, we always have to remember that Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna, Nityananda Prabhu, our Guru Vargas are all on the altar. They're not listening. They're just stone statues. So you have to know, just like in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, they could not speak. But Bhagavan gave his mercy. Lord Narayan touched Dhruva Maharaj with his conch. Lord Nrsingadev put his hand on the head of Prahlad Maharaj. In this way they were able to speak something. So this is an upakyan. This is a teaching. That we're speaking only by the merciful hand of Guru Padapadma and our Guru Vargas and our Ishtadev, Mahaprabhu Shri Radha Krishna Yugal. They're inspiring speaking. Shukdev Goswami speaking because he had the Agyai, the order of Radha and Krishna, to stay in this world to deliver Srimad Bhagavatam. So they gave power. So Shukdev Goswami speaking is not Shukdev Goswami, right? In fact, the whole overarching upakyan here is that he's the Krida Suk, means he's the play parrot of Radhika. Suk means that person who repeats. You understand? So in his heart, all Radha Krishna Leela, all knowledge of Radha Krishna pastimes, everything, are placed there by Srimati Radhika and Krishna. And they've given him the order to stay in this world and to deliver that message. You understand? So Shukdev Goswami is not the speaker. Always Bhagavan himself is glorifying himself. And just as Krishna told Arjuna at the Battle of Kurukshetra, everything has already been done. You can become an instrument. So everyone who is speaking, doing kirtan, doing Thakurji Seva, creating dresses for Thakurji, cleaning the temple, anything, they're instruments of Bhagavan's desire to be manifest in a way. They're the instruments for that thing through Guru Parampara. So we should never think, oh, I am the speaker, I am the Kirtaniya, I am the Pujari, I am the Sevak in this way or that way, I am the cook. Oh, the Prabhu, Mahaprasad today was exceptional. Gurudev's kripa on me, that I was able to serve in this way. So, the artificial psychology of humility that may take place is not really helpful. And what it will do was it will give solace to false egoism. Because your false ego will take shelter of it as a shadow form of a real principle in bhakti. And it will say, no, the reason that I'm like this and I don't know what that devotee knows or that devotee knows, I don't speak like this devotee, that devotee, is because really just, I'm really fallen, right? And then the perception is my presentation of humility is my armament around why I'm not speaking like this devotee or that devotee, etc., etc. So we have to be very careful to stay away from the kind of deception that comes from false egoism. Right? Raghunath Das Goswami in Manusiksha, he recognized this. He told, Pratishta asta drasta swapacha ramani yudhiri me natet. Right? That Pratishta asha means the desire to comfort false egos. Another way to translate. Pratishta asha really means, asha means hope. Pratishta means for name and fame. But one also hope for name and fame is to have my false egoism protected. I've brought it with me into the arena of bhakti. It has no place there, but I'm also guarding it very carefully. You understand? So we should not do like this. Because also what will happen is also very subtle way that some enviousness will develop towards Vaishnavas. You understand? This person leading kirtan very well, my voice is not of some quality like this or something. So I will think, oh yeah, they're just into kirtan. Yeah, they can sing very well. They just have a nice voice. We should think anything we see that is very glorious in bhakti. It is the glory of the presence of Bhagavan Shakti. Understand? Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, I am the ability in all men. What to speak of devotees? So anything we see that's miraculous, that is the Shakti of Bhagavan at play, creating some wonder. You understand? Like this. So, also, at the same time, it is incumbent upon all of those who are aspirants in bhakti to give their mind and intelligence to the seva of Hari Guru and Vaishnav in the form of study of Shastra. Right? You have to think, Goswami Varga, even Jiva Goswami alone, wrote 400,000 verses. How many more verses? Rup Goswami Pad, Sanatana Goswami Pad, all of our other Guru Varga that they've written, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, all the commentaries. You understand? They did for our benefit. They did for our benefit. And sometimes what happens is devotees, they find it easier to deal with the relative subject matters of the material world, and then they end up conflating those things with bhakti, but because those things are relative and they're more easily digestible, because it doesn't require the same degree of saranagati. If I start looking at various New Age modalities and various things like that, I could easily speak on those things. I can easily create content around dealing with those things because they don't require saranagati. And also, because they're in the material mode of sattva gun prominently, then there's also a sense of happiness that comes from them. Bhagavad Gita gives this warning. The mode of material sattva gun conditions one to the sense of material happiness. Again, it feeds the false egoism. So, in concluding, one thing that we see happen a lot is devotees will go into various relative fields in the mode of goodness. You understand? Right? And we're not at all disparaging the idea of devotees doing any kind of sincere work in any modality. Right? Whether it's in the health field, whether it's in the field of psychology, whether it's in the field of emotional support, whatever it might be. But sometimes there's a conflation that this is bhakti. This is really bhakti. That all of these kind of things, this is really bhakti, and that being sastravit, being absorbed in the actual revelatory process, both for yourself and for others, is a kind of category called gyan. You understand? And then, relatively speaking, for one, it feels very good, because normally when there's these engagements in the material mode of goodness, there's a sense of happiness, a sense of peace. All of that is self-interest, right? But it feels very good. And the prospect of having to do sadhanagati, to put myself in a very vulnerable condition, in comparison is not very tasteful, right? But you can't get to taste or ruchi and bhakti until there's sadhanagati, until there's dedication to the process, until you're willing to become vulnerable. The meaning of Rakshishyati Vishwas, Goptave Varanam Tata. When you're describing Saranagati, Anukuyasya Sankalpa, Pratikuyasya Vivarjana, giving up the things that are not favorable, accepting what's favorable, but Rakshishyati Vishwas. A Vishwas means a faith that everything I need, emotionally, physically, everything, will all be arranged by Bhagavan. Goptave Varanam Tata. He will maintain everything. You understand? So this Vishwas, actually the word Vishwas means, the word Shwas in Sanskrit means to breathe. One meaning is to breathe. So it means the trust. Vishwas means a trust or faith. To have faith and trust, just like I have faith and trust, even though it's not guaranteed that I'm going to take my next breath. Nobody can be assured of that. But we have Vishwas. We have faith. Yes, I'll take the next breath. Therefore, we make a plan for the day. We make a plan for the next few minutes. Some we even make plans for 5 years, 10 years, etc. You understand? So we should have this same kind of faith that Krishna will protect me, become vulnerable, do saranagati, stop holding on and protecting false egoism and self-interest. Now, one of the teachings that most elucidates this is the Upakyan of Bharat Maharaj, who becomes Jad Bharat. He was doing his bhajan seva, and our acharyas say he had reached into Bhavavast. But when he saw the dough under duress and gave help to that dough, right, and then maintained a mode of goodness relationship with that dough, then his own bhajan sadhan was affected. So our acharyas give many reasons. One, the absence of sadhu sangha. Then they bring up the possibility of previously committed aparad. You understand? And this was a teaching because obviously he's a realized soul, right? But this is to teach us the danger of the conflation with the material mode of goodness. Because actually spiritual life is the manifestation of Swarup Shakti. And in Swarup Shakti there is no mixed mode of goodness. You understand? It's composed of Visuddha Sattva. So Suddha Sattva means pure goodness, not touched by any other mode, not even the mode of material goodness. And also Visuddha Sattva means Visesh. It means it also awards a spiritual identity. So, what is this verse? Suddha Sattva Visesh Shatma Prem Sriyamsa Samyabha Ruchi Bish Chittamasanya Kriso Babu Chitte. This is the description of what happens in Bhav. Right? Suddha Sattva Viseshatma. This Visuddha Sattva, it appears in the Chitta and it is Swayam Prakash and Swayam Ashwara, means it's self-revealing. So it reveals itself on the Chitta along with the complete manifestation of your worshipable objective, your Ishtadev, the revelations about your Swarup, the Swarup of all the associates of your Ishtadev, including your own Gurudev Swarup, everything. And Ruchi Bish Chittamasanya, the main thing it does is it melts the false egoism. Chitta means the antakaran, means your subtle body. Mind, intelligence, false ego are all taken over by the vrittis of Swarup Shakti, and that ahamkara, everything is melted away, and the pure Visay Sambandhik Gyan is fully manifest, means what is your spiritual identity, everything. So this is our aspiration. But if you keep reaching out into the mode of goodness, then like in the teachings of Bharat Maharaj, you miss your bhajan life. You'll miss your bhajan sadhan. And you'll begin to categorize your bhajan sadhan in an artificial way because you're getting ruchi from the material mode of goodness. You understand? It's not genuine ruchi. You're getting taste from the material mode of goodness. One of the hallmark qualities of this is God play. God play means, for instance, you'll find that there are some devotees who think, for instance, well, somebody's having a lot of trauma from their childhood. They may genuinely need psychological help, right? But there's also sometimes the idea somebody is suffering from some childhood trauma or some current trauma regarding a relationship or some trauma regarding self-esteem or any other myriad of psychological issues. But we have to think, Mahaprabhu was told, Bhagavan himself was told, Namnam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. just this one line in this one shlok. Namnam akari bahuda nija sarva shakti. In this nam, akari, bahuda, I've placed all nija shakti of my power in this name. What better protocol can you offer someone than that? What is more powerful in alleviating any kind of problems in a person's life? What could possibly be more powerful than Bhagavan stating, I put my everything in this name? What advice can you give someone except to encourage their chanting of Sri Harinam and to give explanation why and to give them faith, because faith is the currency that stimulates the efficacy of the practice of bhajan life. If there's no faith, ado shraddha, then you can never get to the point of actually getting the efficacy of the practice. So first there must be faith, ado shraddha, and then sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha means that faith currency is now deposited at the lotus feet of the sadhu. Then the sadhu teaches bhajan life. And when you follow that, the Kriya Shakti of Bhagavan comes, and this is how gradual advancement in bhakti takes place. But if you hold on, right, as exemplified in the teachings of Bharat Maharaj, he maintained this deer to the point where his own bhajan sadhan was interrupted. So if you enter into the mode of goodness activities and become absorbed there, though you may appear to be doing bhajan sadhan, the consciousness and the bhajan are not synthesized because your consciousness is invested in the mode of material goodness. Saranagati is meant to take us out of that dynamic and to put everything at the lotus feet of transcendence in the form of surrendering to Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava. Understand? So I think I will end here. I decided to do this a little bit early because I had other services to do throughout the day, and I didn't want to not answer the questions that these devotees wrote. And for the Didi who wrote particularly about the idea of humility and this whole discussion of the mode of goodness, you can reach out again and tell me if this was okay. If not, we can have more discussions. I did put it on the public forum as you asked, so that people can discuss it and so forth and so on. But if there's any more personal inquiry about it, you can again message me and we can have further discussion. All right, my Dandavat Pranam, Dandavats to all the devotees who are on Vancha Kalpataruvishcha, Kripa Shindavevacha, Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jai. Also, devotees, please take great absorption in the Mahima of the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. Jai. And spend your day absorbed in the meditation on the extreme mercy of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. Our whole practice and our sort of life-saving raft that we're floating on is all due to his mercy. And obviously the mercy of our Srila Prabhupada and all of our Guru Vargas, right, who helped to manifest the prophecy of Mahaprabhu all over the world. All right, Jai, Radhe, Radhe.